All right, Warren, thank you for talking with me. You have a unique approach to working through conflict, and there are many couples workshops, books, whatever. So I'm very interested in knowing what you have innovated in terms of how couples can relate better. Could you say a word about that?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of background here. When I started looking and seeing that there was a boy crisis, I started asking, why is that? And one of the major reasons was dad deprivation. And so I asked, well, why? What's the issue? How do we prevent dad deprivation? And to me, the most constructive way of preventing it was having a good, usually that happened after a divorce, and the mom was more likely to get the children than the father. And the children that did not have a significant amount of father involvement really had major problems, especially the boys. Now, the same thing was true with single mother families, but there was sort of a different type of solution to that. Oftentimes, the woman felt that she had been involved with a guy, and the guy was not, the right guy for her, and she felt like she'd be prostituting herself and being disingenuous to the guy if she had a child with a guy she really didn't care for, just to have a child. And so she became a single mother, to be honest with herself about that. But one of the things that broke up that relationship was poor communication. And so I started seeing that the solution to the boy crisis and really to problems that many girls without dad involvement have was it would be wonderful if there was better communication in the marriage, so that the couple didn't feel that they had to make this choice between raising children in an intact family and disliking each other or even hating each other and trying to keep it all repressed. And then one day there's an explosion that occurs, and the child sees that explosion and really has a bad feeling about the way even getting married to begin with, because they see bad communication all around them as a role model, and they don't have good communication as a tool to work with in their own relationships. So I started saying, okay, and as I looked around, long story short, I saw that active listening was the most successful method of communication. But then I looked at some studies showing that and also my own uh, coterie of friends, and found that active listening was almost never done without a therapist, which meant because therapists cost money, that active listening was really confined to people who were middle class and above. And even there, in the middle class, it became a problem to pay a therapist a significant amount of money. So, but I also saw that asked the question, well, why is it that active listening always requires a therapist? Why can't people just be trained to do it and then do it by themselves? And I found that the reason was that the active listening was very good for the person who had the complaint or a concern. When they expressed that complaint or concern, the person who was listening was required to listen, not interrupt, say, what I heard you say was this, and then check out to see whether they distorted anything from that. And so, but that created a problem because biologically, all human beings, when they hear personal criticism, are biologically programmed to become defensive. Because historically, when we heard criticism, it could be an enemy. And so it was functional in order to survive, to get up your defenses to protect against an enemy. And so, or alternatively, kill the person who was doing the criticizing before they killed you. And so, and that was great for survival. It was just terrible for love. And so it made everybody feel like they were walking on eggshells. And so what was missing from active listening was that the person hearing the criticism didn't have their biologically natural defenses, um, and they also couldn't, and so therefore they didn't feel safe. So they were making the criticizer safe, but they were not feeling safe inside of themselves. And so there was often and when they didn't feel safe inside of themselves, they sort of harbored an anger that the other person was feeling heard, but they had their side of the story that wasn't feeling heard very well either. And so that was a flaw that was leading people to not feel safe doing that without the guidance of a therapist. And so I said to myself, all right, is there a way that the person who is hearing the criticism cannot emotionally be associating it with a need to be defensive? And I felt that I had discovered that. And that way was that if it's biologically natural to be defensive, then one has to alter their biologically natural state to be associating criticism with increasing the opportunity to be loved by the person that was criticizing them. So if you and I were brother and sister, and you said, "Oh, Dad you were always Dad's favorite child," and I said, "No way, you were a great manipulator. You had him wrapped around your finger," and you went, "No, no, the evidence for this is that you got this more, this many more Christmas presents." And I said, "Well, that not that maybe that Christmas, but the other Christmas, blah blah blah," and we went on back and forth. And so in that back and forth argument, neither one is feeling heard. Both is feeling that the only thing that the other one is doing is seeing what they can attack in our argument and then coming back with a bigger attack to prove that we're wrong. And we both go away feeling more angry at each other rather than heard by each other. So my job was to see if I could get the person hearing the criticism to say something along the lines of, if I provide a safe environment for my brother's criticism, he'll feel more heard by me, and he'll feel safer with me. And therefore he'll feel more like um, I love him, and that will make him feel, when he feels safe and more loved, that will make him want to love me more and love me more because he feels safe around me. And so that's a win-win situation. So the only thing I have to do as the listener is to remember in my mind's eye to first meditate into the mindset that if I provide a safe environment for his feelings, that I will be more likely to be loved by him, rather than be more likely to feel his criticism as the essence of what he has as an attitude toward me. Because my fear, when you tell me that Dad always favored me, is that you're going to have a resentment toward me and an anger toward me, and that's going to mean that I'm going to feel less love from you. And so that's just one of six mindsets that I have the person who is listening prepare themselves for, so that when they're hearing the criticism, let's say I'm hearing criticism from you as my sister, that the angrier your voice is, the more upset you are, the more. One of the other mindsets that I move myself into is realizing that anger is vulnerability's mask. And when you are getting angry at me, what you're really experiencing is vulnerability. And that you're wishing for me to see and feel and experience that vulnerability and not be scared by the anger. So one of the other meditations, for example, is a meditation called Stream. And let's say you're saying, you are just a self-centered narcissistic jerk, who always got all the attention. You were class prince, you were class this, everything. You walked around like you really had it all owned. And I felt very sort of like secondary compared to you. And I went into the classrooms a year or two after you did, and the teachers would say, "Oh my goodness, you're Warren's sister. How wonderful." Well, I felt like the black and white TV, and you were the color TV. And that felt really bad to me. And I'm going, I have a totally different version of that than you do. But if I'm saying, and if your voice is raising and you're getting angrier and angrier, and just recalling all the memories of that, I'm saying to myself, okay, when I think of the mindset called stream, I'm thinking that your anger and upset is like pollution in a stream. And that when I listen to you, I'm like the filter in that stream. And when the anger you get, and when you feel like you have a safe space for that anger to be expressed, and I listen to you completely without getting defensive, that frees you to allow the beautiful stream that is underlying that pollution to come through the filter and come out the other side feeling heard. And therefore, the beautiful soul that you are is revealed again, both to you and to me, because you haven't had to argue your arguments more strongly. You felt safe in expressing whatever you did, and you didn't have to say an accurate version, because I was going to be there for whatever version you said. When you were saying that this happened on this Christmas, you got more presents, you knew I would not be planning in the back of my mind a strategy that would prove to you that in fact you got more presents on Christmas Y or on your birthday or whatever. And so you know that exaggerations at all, distortions at all, tone of voice at all, were not going to be used by me as an excuse to not hear you, but that you would be completely heard. You would have that safe environment. Those are just that meditation is called stream. That I see the beauty of your stream that gets revealed, and I don't focus on the pollution. And that when I listen to you, allow you to reveal that beauty. So the person about to hear the criticism is now preparing himself to to be fully safe. And my philosophy is that when I feel safe, that you become safer being able to give the criticism, and that the person who is just doing an active listening thing of having to say what he heard you say, but without feeling safe inside, is not giving off body language and really feeling an internal safety that allows you to be safe. Because sooner or later, when you've had your chance to express your criticism, and I haven't had a chance to feel safe, I'll want to get back at you and prove why you're wrong to a greater degree. And that's why, and the knowledge about that is why why almost no couples do active listening at home and alone without the security blanket of a therapist.
Should we do a little demo now?
Sure, we can do a demo. Let's see. Let's say that.
Let me just pitch it to you.
Sure.
Okay. So, Warren, I haven't really talked to you about this very much before, but I had a dream, and it's kind of stupid, but I really felt it. And in the dream, it was Christmas, and our parents gave you a Porsche, which I've always thought was like my dream car, and they gave me a used VW Bug. And so it brought up for me how I really do feel like I did not get a fair shake in that family. You did, and you never really went to go to bat for me so that it was more equal. You would never say, oh, give her something because you gave me the Porsche. So I wanted you to know that I'm feeling pretty ticked off and resentful about being the golden boy in the family and me getting the crumbs.
Oh, good. So now, while you were talking, because I had not prepared myself to be safe, I'm thinking of all the exceptions to the rule and how to argue back to you and to improve to you that you are actually the more privileged one than me. And be the bigger victim. What I would be asking you to do when you took the couples communication course was to say to me, well, first of all, well, yeah, I'll just go to the core thing. To say to me, I'd like to have a caring and sharing time with you. And so before I have that caring and sharing time with you, before you say anything about your dream last night, I would say yes. And because I've practiced this before, I would know that that caring and sharing time was not a threat, but rather an opportunity to feel closer to you. So before you say anything about the dream of the Porsche, you would ask for permission to do a caring and sharing time together. And so then I would go, so let's say, so what did you ask for that permission? And we'll take it from there.
Warren, I had this dream. It triggered some feelings for you. Is it okay for you if we go into sharing and caring time and I kind of get that off my shoulders.
Good, that's fine. And what would be even more optimal for you to say, Warren, can I have, I'd love to do, our caring and sharing times when we've done it in the past have just been wonderful. Could we do another one? And not even give me a clue, not set my mind into motion about what any clue as to what it was before I do my caring and sharing time. So I don't begin to start formulating my response before, like, oh, that's just a dream. Dreams are stupid. You shouldn't pay attention to dreams. And what am I really saying? I'm saying to myself, I don't want to hear any criticism because I haven't prepared myself to feel safe first. So I would the first thing I would do then is to say, yeah, yes, sure, Gail, that worked out last time we did that. That seemed pretty good. I'm happy to be here for you. Let's see. But let me go into my 6 mindsets first. And so I would share out loud. And my first mindset would be die for. And I would say to myself, I would risk my life. If you, Gail, were about to die and be killed, I'd risk my life to save you because I find you precious to me. And so therefore, if I would risk my life to save you, I could certainly listen to you for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, right? That seems pretty minimal compared to that. And then I would go through what I call the love guarantee. And the love guarantee is what I mentioned before. If I provide a safe space for my sister Gail to sort of share all of her feelings, maybe distortions, her stories, whatever they are, and whatever tone of voice she wants to do, the more off base she is, the more love she will feel by me. Because normally when people are off base, they feel really like they could be, that's an invitation for the other person to yell back or to criticize back. But now you're completely safe. And when you know you're completely safe, you're going to feel more loved by me and therefore more love for me. And you're my sister. And while we've had our disagreements, I really want us to love each other and support each other for the rest of our lives, especially now that our parents have passed away. And third, I went over before the stream. So I'm going to expect here, no matter what Gail says, that there may be a different version of that story that she will experience than I would experience. And that's fine. I'm not going to be thinking about my version. I'm going to be seeing that her anger, her maybe distortions, her different story is the pollution in her stream. And that when I provide a filter to hear everything she says, pollution or not, what will end up being is the best version of my sister Gail. And that will come out the other side of that filter. And that's what I want for her. I will also, if another meditation is, let's see, a good one I think is,
This is number 4.
yes, actually, this is not in order. I'm just skipping around for the ones that sort of make it easiest. So another one is cinema. And the cinema is that, let me say I'm feeling tension because I'm feeling like, you're really saying really negative things about me. And so the cinema meditation is me saying to myself, wait a minute, you're not physically hitting me. So therefore, this is nothing different in a way than a movie. And when I'm at a movie and I see my favorite character walking down an alley, let's say she's a beautiful, young, vulnerable woman, and she's walking down a dark alley and the music gets really to the point where something's going to jump out and hurt her right away. And I'm getting all tense inside. I'm saying to myself, well, wait a minute, when I'm at a movie, it's all I have to say to myself is, it's only a movie, and the tension goes away immediately. So let me make believe that, that Gail's anger at me is only a movie and the tension and relax. But then also let me remember that when at a movie, I don't stand up and interrupt the person who's telling their story. I get fascinated by their story and I'm there to be entertained by it. Well, you're my sister. Your story is something I should be fascinated by. I am fascinated by. I want you to be able to tell your story in whatever way it is. I don't want to stand up and interrupt. I don't want to, in the middle of your movie, I want to listen to your movie, your story from beginning to end. And that's my job at the cinema. Um, so another story,
Meditation.
another meditation is what I call attach, detach. So what I'm going to do here is program myself to attach to your story. And the moment I'm detaching with the defense, the moment I'm saying, oh, I should take a note on that, I want to get back to your, because that was really a distortion. Or you said I didn't even come home until 8 o'clock when I promised I'd come home at 6 o'clock. And dad and mom waited for me to come home at 8 o'clock. And I say to myself, I have proof that I actually did come home at 6:30 that night. And I'm working on the proof and where that proof is and how I can get that to you. That is, I'm detaching. Now, you often hear therapists say that you should detach from the criticism or detach from the anger the other person is saying. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying attach to your story. I'm going to attach to Gayle's story, and I'm going to detach from my criticism, from my response, from remembering what you said so that I can get back to you with my version of your story. So the important thing there is that even if I only remember 10% of your story, you at least feel my eye contact supporting you to tell your story. And you feel that I'm attached to you and your story. I'm not detached with a sense that you're getting that I'm half listening to you and half self-listening. And so, and then when you're finished, one of the questions I will ask you is, did I miss anything from your story? And then you have the option of saying that anything that you missed, you can add on at that point and remind me of. So I don't have to worry about capturing every nuance of your story or all my responses. I'll just say that I miss anything, and you'll say, yes, you missed this, Warren. And then I'll get back over that and work on that until you feel completely understood and heard by that. And so it's attach, detach is the name of that defense. I attach to your story, detach from my defenses. I don't have to worry about forgetting anything because one of the questions I'll ask you is there anything that you have that I've missed? And you have the option to say that. And then once you feel completely heard and safe, what I'll also ask you, is there anything else you'd like to add? Now, there's two purposes of that. Asking if there's anything else you'd like to add doesn't put you in a position of having to remember everything, the first version of your story. You and I both write books. We know we forget a lot of things when we are writing the first draft. And we're happy to go through and realize that certain things fit in different places and other things we've missed on the second draft of the book. And so this allows you a second draft. And it also allows you, when I ask you, is there anything that you'd like to add? You're more likely to be willing to add something after you felt that the environment was safe for anything that you heard said before. Now you're feeling safe enough to get in touch with feelings you never felt safe to reveal. And so the really great listener will discover that his or her partner is discovering feelings they never even knew they had about this issue, and is also discovering thoughts they never knew they had about this issue. And so allowing your partner to share, get in touch with those feelings and thoughts because they now feel safe, it's closest to what often happens only in dreams, where things pop up that are part of your unconscious that you don't allow yourself to say in real life because you know it's just going to be dysfunctional, get you into an argument or alienate you from a relationship. So those aren't all those aren't all the mindsets, but they're enough to sort of give you a sense
Yeah, yeah.
of what you do to make yourself feel safe.